Together a list today of the top 5 quarterbacks who you think most need to make the Super Bowl this year.
No doubt about it, G. And let's kick it off in Baltimore with number 5 on the list, Lamar Jackson. You got Bernard Pollard out here capping. You got executives around the NFL with Jeremy Fowler's survey saying he's not a top 10 quarterback. The only way to shut all of that talk down is to win and win big. Similar to what Joe Flacco did once upon a time in a contract year when he won the Super Bowl. Shout out to Mina Kimes because she said something about the criticism of Lamar Jackson. It's stuff that we heard before this guy even got into the NFL. It's starting to get old. It feels like it's lazy. Lamar Jackson's going to go out there with something to prove this year. Moving on to number 4 on the list, we got Danger Russ. Switching gears, going from the Seahawks to the Denver Broncos. Gee, listen, the Broncos have a new ownership group. Russell Wilson's trying to make a good first impression so he can get another bag. He's 33 years old, and he sees Aaron Rodgers get $50 million a year. He going to want some of that money from Rob Walton. Russell Wilson's got to go out there and prove it. And his team needs him to play awesome because he's in the toughest division in all of football. You could argue all quarterbacks in that division are top 10 players at the position. Moving on, number 3. Josh Allen. And Greeny, this is a guy that's already got his bag, but the question is, can you have one of the highest paid quarterbacks and the highest paid wide receivers and win big in the National Football League? This is the test this year with this group. There aren't any excuses for Josh Allen. They got him a running game, drafting James Cook. Now you're talking about a player at quarterback that has a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense. Josh Allen, you've gone to a conference championship. Now it's time to get over the hump, get to the Super Bowl. Number 2. Dakota Rain Prescott. We know we have to talk about the Dallas Cowboys every single day on this show. This is what we do. It's a part of the quota. Listen, Dak Prescott, you got your bag. You got $40 million a year. That causes you to lose some players on the offense. Amari Cooper, gone. Lyle Collins, gone. Connor Williams, gone. Dak Prescott, you've got to overcome those losses in order for your team to win big like Jerry Jones wants to. And here's the thing, you pay a quarterback that kind of money because they can overcome the deficiencies on your team. If he needs everything to be perfect, then why are you paying him top 5 at the position? Doesn't make sense. Dak Prescott, you got to get it done. Only one playoff win for a quarterback that got a $160 million contract. Keep that in perspective.
So who could be ahead of him?
You know who's ahead of him, G? Aaron bleeping Rodgers. He's ahead of him. Why? He got $50 million, and they had to get rid of his number 1 receiver, who also happens to be the number 1 receiver in the entire National Football League. Expectations come along with getting that bag. There's no way around it. And we judge this guy with how we judge the other GOAT quarterbacks, by championships, fair or unfair. Before we can put Aaron Rodgers in that GOAT conversation with Tom Brady, with Peyton Manning, with Joe Montana, how about you get to another Super Bowl? How about you win another Super Bowl? You can't be in the GOAT conversation and you only got 1 ring. You got to have multiple rings. Aaron Rodgers, you better go out there and get it this year.
I think I speak for everyone. I say 2 things. 1, you're very good with these lists. 2, as we bring Brooke Pryor into the conversation here, and I think we have Darlington as well. Here's what I like about it. They're all under pressure and all for different reasons. So it's really sort of how you look at it. Lamar Jackson is playing to shut everybody up. Russell Wilson is playing for immortality, to be one of the all-time greats. Josh Allen is playing to be the best in the sport at his position. Dak Prescott is probably trying to save his coach's job, among other things. And then to your point, Aaron Rodgers is playing for a degree of immortality. Brooke, how do you see the list?
I would put Dak ahead of Aaron Rodgers, although Canty, I was very convinced. In fact, I was a little bit scared if I'm Aaron Rodgers with all that yelling. Like, okay, fine, I'll win. But I look at Dak Prescott. He has the pressure on himself. Also, the organization, 1-3 in playoff games, and they've won, 4 playoff games since 1996. He needs to get to the Super Bowl. It's not enough for him to just win another playoff game. When he's getting paid that contract that he gets paid, like you said, he got the bag. Just a playoff win doesn't justify the bag. So put him in the Super Bowl.
And the reality is that being the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys in and of itself just comes with another layer of pressure. Jeff Darlington, what do you think?
I am trying to find a flaw in this list just for the sake of debate, but I bow down. You have made the subjective feel objective. This is perfect, Canty. You nailed it. I tried to say maybe Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen could potentially be flipped, and then I realized I forgot that Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson were taken in the same draft class. And Lamar Jackson hasn't even gotten paid yet. So absolutely, there is more pressure on Josh Allen at this point. The only sleeper guy, and I think the list is perfect. You know what I was just thinking about who else could belong in that list? And this is one probably no one would say. Kirk Cousins. And I only say that because that guy's gotten paid so much money to be a Super Bowl quarterback, and he never even got close to it. You know what I mean? I know we forget about him, we assume he's not going to make it, but that guy really should have gotten a Super Bowl.
I guess. I mean, it's an interesting one. I will say this. If you had put Kirk Cousins on the list instead of Lamar Jackson, the entire conversation would have been about the inclusion of Kirk Cousins.
No, I agree. The list is perfect.
The thing about Lamar Jackson, I think that Lamar Jackson becomes the most interesting one in all of this because the conversation that would ensue, if he is the one of the 5 on this screen that winds up winning the Super Bowl this year, ahead of all these others and all the rest, the Patrick Mahomeses and the Tom Bradys and all the other legends that we didn't put on here because they're not under the same kind of pressure, Lamar Jackson would rewrite the conversation in a way that nobody else on the list possibly could.
There's no question about it, G. And here's the thing. Conventional wisdom says if you want to do high-level winning and get to a Super Bowl, you have to have a quarterback who consistently wins from the well, wins from the pocket. That is what their strong suit is. We know that's not Lamar Jackson's forte. But if Lamar Jackson were to find a way to be able to do it his way, then all of a sudden that opens up the doors for other quarterbacks that play his similar style of game in the college ranks and in the National Football League. It changes the perception of what you need from a quarterback in order to win a championship.
It's a really good list. All right, we can put them up there and you can debate them on social media. In the meantime, you mentioned college football. We have big stories from there as well. The Big 12 had their media days beginning yesterday in Arlington, Texas. Oklahoma State head coach Mike Gundy spoke up on rival Oklahoma's move to the SEC and the future of the Big 12 conference. Here's what Gundy had to say.
The future in Bedlam is a year or two left. I mean, that's the future of Bedlam. Based on somebody else's decision, I'm convinced that the Big 12 will be here for a long time. The brand and what we have at this point moving forward in Oklahoma State will be a very, very marketable opportunity in the future.
All right, so Heather Dinich is there covering for us in Arlington, Texas. There has never been a set of circumstances quite like the ones that they're dealing with right now in the Big 12 with all of this realignment swirling around them. What kinds of things are you hearing down there during this unique time?
Well, it was interesting to hear incoming Commissioner Brett Yormark say out loud for the first time publicly what everyone has been whispering behind closed doors, which is they are very interested in considering further conference realignment possibilities, and they are exploring all options. He said repeatedly, the Big 12 is open for business. I spoke to him one-on-one afterwards and asked him about a timeline about it. He said it's fluid, nobody knows. He said we're not going to make a deal for the sake of making a deal, but if there's something that adds value, they're going to consider it. Greeny, he said he's received a lot of phone calls, a lot of interest, and they're vetting that interest. But it's important to note that the Pac-12 schools, sources have told me, they want to know the bottom line. Where are they going to make the most money? They need that answer from
You've got Texas. You have a lot of traditional powerhouses that have already taken a seat in this game of musical chairs. But the biggest fish is still out there, and that's Notre Dame. So yesterday, the Hall of Famer Steve Spurrier was on KJM on ESPN Radio. Here's what he said about what the Irish need to do.
I would think that they would get into the modern times and join a conference and play for the conference championship and go from there. But seems like they want to stay independent. But I would think it would really be a lot bigger deal if they did join either the Big Ten or the